My wedding was 2 weeks away when my fiancé announced Sterling had to fly overseas with his new girlfriend for treatment. On the phone Sterling said, "Zoe, give me 2 years. When I come back I'll give you the dream wedding you deserve." I didn't want to wait. I broke it off. Sterling laughed it off. "Be good, don't make a scene. If we split, who's going to keep paying your brother's medical bills?" I stared at the white porcelain urn cupped in my arms, Daniel's ashes, and said nothing. 3 years later Chase returned and called to ask me to come try on wedding gowns. My husband picked up. "Sorry, she's in confinement at Serenity, no visitors." When Chase rang I was still at Eastbrook. An attendant handed me the urn. "Miss Sterling, my condolences." I nodded. I stared at the glowing screen for a long time before I answered. "What took you so long?" Chase snapped. In the past I would have spilled every pathetic excuse. Tonight I only asked, "And you? Why didn't you pick up last night?" Last night Daniel had flatlined in the ICU. I was frantic, ice cold, shaking, mind blank. As my fiancé, Chase should have been the one anchor I had left. But call after call went straight to voicemail. I still wanted to know, where had Sterling been? "Chase, what time is it?" A sleepy female voice drifted through the speaker. Snap. The last thread holding me together broke. 2 more tears squeezed from my already swollen eyes. Sterling was soothing her, hand half covering the phone, but I still caught every word. "It's early, baby. Go back to sleep. I'll wake you when I'm done. I promised I'd go with you, I keep my word." The tenderness in his tone was nothing like the irritation Sterling always used on me. Only after she quieted did Sterling remember me. I went to bed early and silenced my phone. "Didn't hear it. Why did you blow me up?" I shut my eyes, tightening my grip until my knuckles flashed white. Even breathing felt like sandpaper in my chest. "Nothing anymore." I leveled my voice. "We're done." "Chase, hold on, one more thing." I didn't answer, didn't hang up. I simply waited. Sterling took a breath, choosing his words. "I booked a top therapist abroad for Sienna. Our flight's this afternoon. You know she needs me there." Sterling hesitated, sensing how weak it sounded, and gentled his voice. "Zoe, wait 2 years. When I'm back I swear we'll have that dream wedding." "Okay." Sterling was actually asking. I almost laughed. "Not okay." I tugged the corner of my mouth, eyes stinging cold. "I'm done waiting, Chase. Let's end it." The sentence floated out, leaving me lighter than I'd expected, less sorrow, more the relief of finally walking away from a dead end. Chase didn't explode. Sterling only sighed. "Zoe, can you not act out right now?" So Sterling thought I was throwing a tantrum. "Think it through. Without me, who covers Daniel's bills from now on?" I swallowed hard. I hugged the cold urn closer, mouth open, nothing to say. Talking to him felt pointless. All I knew was there was no after for us. Because I refused to back down, Chase slammed the call shut. A second later a message popped up. "Zoe, you'd better not fucking regret this." Regret? Impossible. 4 years of devotion had already been ground to dust by him and Sienna. Chase had once been good to me, truly. We were the perfect match, 2 old money kids who'd grown up side by side. I made the first move back in high school. Back then Sterling was proud and shy. Running from me only made him blush. I told him I liked him, that we should attend the same university, that I wanted to be his girl. Sterling called me shameless. Yet Sterling stayed up night after night and clawed his way into the same college, just to be with me. In my memories Sterling was still wonderful. His best stretch began the day the Sterlings crashed, bankrupt and drowning in lawsuits. Mom, Dad, and Daniel drove out to beg investors and never came back, 2 coffins, 1 coma. From then on my brother breathed only through machines. I was 18. Debt loomed like a mountain. The dazzling Sterling heiress turned overnight into a plague nobody touched. Only Chase, fool that Sterling was, emptied every cent Sterling saved to keep the collectors away. Later Sterling threatened his own parents with self-harm if they didn't take me in. I'll never forget that endless rainy season. Chase was the umbrella over my head. The boy in white who once stood at my gate had been my only spring. But spring has an expiration date. In college his looks and pedigree crowned him campus royalty. Girls threw themselves at him. Sienna was the most relentless. The first time I met her, I was curled in the infirmary, felled by cramps. Chase had sat at my bedside all afternoon. At dusk she arrived with dinner for him and, ever so kindly, a paper cup of hot ginger tonic for me. "Hi, I'm Sienna, one of Chase's admirers. I really like him, but don't worry, it's one-sided. You're the only one in his heart." She confessed her feelings for my boyfriend right to my face. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chase scowled and flung her homemade meal into the trash. "You're pathetic. Get lost." It was the first time I'd seen him shout at a girl. Sienna froze, doe eyes brimming. One blink and the tears would spill. Beautiful and fragile, her crying could break any heart. But Chase stayed cold, unmoved. Eventually she ran out sobbing. Sterling turned back to me. Gentleness switched on again. "Zoe, ignore her, she's nuts. Rest a bit longer, I'll grab you something to eat." Sterling tucked the blanket around me before Sterling left. Brilliant sunset faded to bruised twilight. I kept watch until the moon slipped clear of the clouds. Finally Chase returned. I sipped the warm porridge Sterling bought and studied the broken skin on his lower lip. Sterling fidgeted, slicing an apple. Bumped into someone on the way, split my lip. I didn't know why Sterling offered an excuse, but I set the spoon down and brushed the cut with my thumb. "Be more careful." Sterling shivered, ears crimson, then lifted my hand to his mouth and kissed it. "Zoe, I'll love you forever." Who could have guessed Chase's forever would expire so soon? During the 4 years I dated Chase, we fought exactly 3 times. Without exception, every single fight was about Sienna. The first time was because Chase had dinner alone with her. That day Daniel had taken a sharp turn for the worse, so I cancelled on Chase and stayed at the hospital. Around midnight I was scrolling the campus forum and saw a photo of the 2 of them at dinner. It was the first seed of panic I'd ever felt. The next afternoon, once Daniel stabilized, I went back to school. I found Chase and confronted him with the picture. The look Sterling gave me was foreign, impatient, almost hostile. "Zoe, it was just dinner. Are you seriously here to interrogate me?" I stood there frozen, phone in hand, suddenly wondering if I still knew him. We exploded into our first real screaming match. When we walked away, I felt like glass cracking, sharp, helpless, wronged. "Chase, you never used to be like this. When did you start finding me exhausting?" Sterling hesitated, raked a hand through his hair, then kicked the curbside tree so hard leaves showered down. As I turned to leave, Sterling ran after me and yanked me into his chest, contrite. "I'm sorry, Zoe. I just think she's a cool friend. You were stuck at the hospital, our date fell through, so I threw up an Instagram story and asked whoever was free to grab a bite. I'm sorry. I never meant for you to get the wrong idea. Forgive me, okay? I won't do it again." His remorse sounded real, his arms felt warm. All my grievances finally melted under his soft-spoken coaxing and the steady heat of his body. Yet I could sense it, Chase's heart had already drifted a few degrees off course. The second time I caught him alone with Sienna was in the campus library. I'd worked an off-campus side hustle that night and didn't clock out until 10. On my way back to the dorm I cut past the library. Through a window I saw a familiar couple at a corner table. She had her hand wrapped around his, their foreheads practically touching, laughing. Chase and Sienna. I was dead on my feet after an 8-hour shift, but I still stood on the sidewalk and watched for 10 whole minutes. Eventually Sterling glanced up and saw me. Sterling jerked his hand free and rushed outside to explain. They'd bumped into each other by accident, Sterling claimed. Sienna had offered to read his palm and tell him whether Sterling and I were fated to last. That's why Sterling let her hold his hand while she studied the lines. "So what's the verdict?" I asked, smiling. "Huh." Panic always slowed him down. I eyed his left hand, smile still pasted on. "What did the palm say?" Sterling exhaled, relieved, and grinned. "Sienna says you and I are meant to be together forever." "Really? Then I guess she's out of luck for life." I looked past his shoulder at Sienna, who had followed him out. Sterling glanced back, brows pinched, torn for a second. Finally Sterling threaded his fingers through mine and sighed. "Zoe, honestly, Sienna's a great person. She says she likes me, but it's just talk. She hasn't done anything to hurt us, right?" My smile froze. I couldn't believe those words had come out of his mouth. In his eyes, Sienna's pursuit was simply bold and innocent. Sterling genuinely didn't see that she'd already crossed every line. So what would count as hurting us? I frowned, a dull weight settling in my chest. Chase had no answer. Instead, Sterling said, "Anyway, Sienna's totally upfront. She's nothing like those scheming girls. Zoe, you're being too sensitive." I had nothing left to say. My lips curved, but the ache was worse than the day our family went bankrupt. I stared at him for a long moment, eyes heavy. Sterling stared back, shards of light dancing in his restless, almost eager. Sterling was already in love with Sienna. That night I broke up with him. Chase looked stunned. "Zoe, do you even know what you're saying?" His eyes were blank. The problem hadn't registered at all. How could I explain it to someone that clueless? Tell him their closeness made me sick to my stomach? Sterling'd just brand me hysterical again. I ended it without another word. Chase couldn't understand, and Sterling refused to accept it. After that, Sterling waited on every path I used, trying to win me back. But I've always been rational. Loving him was the rare impulsive blip. I told him the decision was final. Nothing Sterling did would change it. A week later I ate my words. Daniel's condition crashed. Sterling needed emergency surgery. The procedure was high risk and astronomically expensive. I was drowning emotionally, financially. I begged every friend I had, but no one could cough up tens of thousands on the spot. That's when Chase showed up, card in hand. "Zoe, if you come back to me, I'll cover every bill your brother ever racks up." His eyes were bloodshot, his face haggard from the week. "I swear I'll cut Sienna off completely. Please, come back to me, okay? I'll do whatever you want. Any person you hate, I'll walk away from them." Sterling meant every syllable. I took the card. "Dylan." I thanked him the way you thank a downpour that saves your crops. But the crack inside me didn't seal just because we were a couple again. Our second round of dating felt half dead from the start. Sterling must have sensed I wasn't back for love, because afterward Sterling really did steer clear of Sienna. Went so far as to pull family strings to get her a semester's leave of absence. Chase and I coasted through the term without new explosions. Sterling was still attentive, sweet, always there when I needed him. So for his 21st birthday I got off work early, bought a cake, and planned a surprise. I told him I had to pull a late shift and couldn't celebrate. "No big deal, babe," Sterling soothed. "Not much to celebrate anyway. I'll just grab dinner and hit a karaoke bar with the guys, then head back to the dorm." I believed him. Never imagined I'd catch him with Sienna again. At the end of a dark corridor in the karaoke lounge there's a little terrace. I was hunting for his private room number when I passed it and saw them kissing like the world was ending. Moonlight spilled over Chase as Sterling pinned Sienna to the wall, fingers locked in her hair, lost in her mouth. They were too busy to breathe. I was free to watch every second. The last trace of pain in my heart evaporated. At last I understood. Whatever love I'd once felt for Chase had been running on fumes for a long, long time. Watching him kiss someone else, I reacted like a bored spectator. No agony, no déjà vu of the first ugly fight that had shredded me. The moment simply nailed shut the half-dead thing in my chest. I didn't interrupt them. I didn't even bother breaking up with Chase. I just picked up the cake, turned, and headed for Daniel's place. After that night I ricocheted around him, clingy 1 minute, ice cold the next. My plan was to pile up cash fast enough to keep Daniel in treatment before Chase finished falling for someone else. But Daniel slipped away first. News that Chase had flown to Europe to support Sienna through her therapy spread through our crowd in a day. My inbox filled with gloating arrows. "Zoe, Chase is seeing someone else, guess the dream wedding is off. How lame. You can't even handle an art school waif like Sienna. Remember when you clawed my arm for him? Where'd that fire go?" This time the text came from an UN saved number. Scrolling back produced zero history, so I had no clue who the sender was. That night I worked behind the bar at Velvet, in the black bartender shirt they handed out. I scowled, blacklisted the idiot, and went back to polishing glasses. The side hustle was brand new. I needed every cent if I wanted to bury Daniel somewhere Sterling-like. "Old-fashioned, please." The voice was low, lazy, half asleep. I glanced up, recognized Hunter, and my customer service smile jammed mid-grin. I forced it back into place. One moment. Sterling spotted me too. A smirk lifted one brow. Well, if it isn't the legendary scraper of Eastbrook, Miss Sterling herself. Something about that line felt obnoxiously familiar. Sterling thrown on a loud floral shirt, 2 buttons open, and flopped onto a stool. Chin in hand, eyes dancing, Sterling watched me like a cat whose tail twitches just before it pounces. Sterling's going bankrupt. Hawthorne Shipping cut you off. Slumming it to keep Chase in pocket money. I ignored him. Hunter and I had been frenemies since prep school. The minute I started chasing Chase, Sterling became the ultimate third wheel with a gift for derailing me. Things hit the roof when they fought over the basketball court. Hunter flattened Chase. I spent 2 weeks filing my nails into cat claws and shredded Hunter's face. Apparently the memory still entertained him. I slid ice cubes into a glass with practiced speed. Sterling shifted, lounging back, collar half open, giving me an unobstructed view of collarbone and throat. My hand froze on the whiskey bottle, so the anonymous trash talker was him. I thought Sterling'd moved to Venice with his mother. When had Sterling come back? He only thrives on attention. Freeze him and Sterling chills out. Sure enough, after 10 seconds of my silence, Sterling dropped his gaze to his phone. I released a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Bitter cube sugar, Angostura, a dash of water, muscle memory while my mind spun. Shit, Sterling muttered. Zoe, you blocked me. I rolled my eyes, still silent. Before I could speak, 2 tall blondes claimed the stools beside him. Hey, gorgeous, mind if we grab your digits? They asked. Hunter barely glanced at them, his irritation sliding back into mischief. Better ask my girlfriend if that's cool. I widened my eyes. The women looked at me, mortified. Sorry, we didn't realize. No problem, they whispered and fled, leaving Hunter drumming the bar, triumphant. Damn him. Sterling'd just cost me 2 tips. Cat got your tongue, or did Chase poison you? Sterling asked. Finally I snapped. I can talk just fine. Your whole family should be gagged. A subtle change, his dark eyes lit like city lights at dusk. Sterling leaned forward. Keep going. I love when you swear. Not happening. Sterling propped his chin up, still smiling. So, are you marrying the guy or not? Sterling wanted a rise. Maybe Sterling hoped I'd stroke out so Sterling could finally win the scratch war. Not today. I'm not, I answered, sliding the amber drink toward him. Somebody else can have the honor. Sterling wrapped long fingers around the glass, studying me for cracks. Just when I planned to tell him off, Sterling took a sip and said, calm as you please, then marry me. Hunter's mother had died last month. Freshman year their divorce had rocked Eastbrook society. Custody pinned him to her side and they'd resettled in Europe. 6 years, gone like a finger snap. Sterling was no longer the problem kid expelled for joyriding, and I was no longer the Sterling princess. Still, his offer felt dropped from orbit. Do you even know the state my family's in? I asked, scrubbing a shaker. Sterling nodded. Sterling Enterprises folded. Debt on debt. Your parents and your brother set out to raise capital. Car crash, 2 dead, 1 in a coma. That about cover it. My chest tightened. Water drummed against the steel sink. Sterling shifted again, voice steady, businesslike. You need money, I have it. I need a wife, you're available. Symbiosis. I wiped my hands. Let me think. My brain screamed caution, but the sum in his checkbook was already singing lullabies. We signed the license quietly, no gown, no flowers, no Instagram announcement. Hunter dumped his entire portfolio into my lap and threw himself back into venture deals. I cleared the Hawthorne tab, then texted Chase's mother, wedding cancelled. Predictably, sweetheart, no one will ever love you the way Chase does. Remember all Sterling's sacrificed? One little Sienna, surely you can forgive that. I'm not angry, I replied. I just don't love him anymore. Message delivered, debt zeroed, history closed. Chase and I were parallel lines that would never meet again. The second year of our marriage, Hunter and I finally took a real step forward on a rainy night. Sterling came home a little drunk after entertaining clients. But Sterling still swung by the bakery and picked up the dessert I love. It was an ordinary day, Yet as I watched the man sitting beside me watching me eat, a steadiness I'd never felt before settled over me. I asked Hunter, "Why did you even choose me?" Liquor had brushed his handsome face with a thin, red frost, gorgeous, adorable. Sterling leaned in, kissed my ear, and murmured, "Wrong, sweetheart. You were never my choice." My breath caught. Sterling exhaled softly, laughing low against my ear, "You're my only." In that instant I heard my own heart beating again. So Hunter truly loves me. Outside, the rain drizzled on. Hunter and I rolled across the bed, fingers laced, breaths tangled. We didn't notice the phone on the nightstand lighting up. An unknown number kept calling. Finally the caller fired off several texts. "Tomorrow's your birthday, how are we celebrating? Zoe, why aren't you picking up? Come find me. I'll book your flight and spend the day with you." Sterling never signed his name, but I knew it was Chase. After I slipped out of bed at midnight and left the bathroom, while Hunter was still rinsing off, I deleted every message and blocked the number. Trash like that, if Hunter saw it, Sterling'd get so jealous. Sterling'd keep me in bed for 3 straight days. In the 3rd year of marriage we had a daughter. After delivery Hunter moved into Serenity with me. Sterling ran a tight ship, daily screen time ration, no staying up past 10. So after 10 every night Sterling confiscated my phone. The day Chase flew back, the gossip circuit buzzed. Hunter said nothing, but I could read the tension in him. "Hubby, come here." In the suite I crooked a finger at him. Sterling insisted on separate beds. The moment Sterling lay down Sterling frowned like a martyr. "Can't. Doctor's orders, 6 weeks minimum after a natural birth." I burst out laughing. "Just sleeping, I swear." "Come on." Sterling squirmed, muttering, then climbed in. Strictly G-rated. No fooling around. I looped my arms around his neck and breathed in his cool pine scent. "Honey, you don't have to be scared. Your daughter and I both love you." Hunter went still, then pressed a kiss to my forehead. "So you noticed. We've got the marriage certificate, what are you afraid of?" Sterling laughed, ready to kiss me, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I stayed curled against him and told him to answer. Sterling hit speaker. The instant the line opened a familiar male voice slipped out. "Zoe, I'm back." Chase spoke, still sounding entitled. "Come to my place tomorrow morning, try on the wedding gown." Hunter and I froze. A few seconds later Hunter lifted the phone and smiled coldly. "Sorry, she's in confinement, can't make it." Sterling hung up, blocked the caller, rolled over, and kissed me hard. Next day Chase tried another number. Only after I picked up did I realize it was him. "Zoe, where are you?" "Serenity." I stayed on the line, determined to settle this while Hunter was out. Chase sucked in a breath, anger rasping his voice. "You married Hunter?" "Yes, and we have a beautiful daughter." "Chase, why? I told you to wait 3 years. Couldn't stand being alone." I laughed. Where did Sterling get the nerve? "Forgotten already, Mr. Hawthorne? We broke up 3 years ago. After a breakup we're free to marry whomever we please. If you don't grasp that, check yourself into a hospital and get your head scanned." "Zoe." Chase's voice cracked. "You dared marry without my permission? You're Daniel. My brother died 3 years ago. I cut him off." Maybe postpartum hormones were haywire, but his voice grated on me. "Planning to use my brother against me again? Chase, do you know how disgusting you sound? I'm ashamed I ever loved someone like you." Silence. At last Sterling whispered, "So that's why you dumped me so coldly 3 years ago. You were only with me for the money, right?" Sterling gave a bitter laugh, as if I'd betrayed him. "The nerve. Quit dumping your crap on me. You were busy screwing Sienna, what did you expect? Tired of her and remembered poor me? Chase, what am I in your eyes, a recycling plant for trash? Go to hell, you cheating bastard." I ranted into the phone and slammed it down, pulse racing. Only when Hunter came back with our daughter and a box of the dessert I hadn't tasted in months did the storm inside me calm. Watching him change her diaper, I felt warm and soft and suddenly teary. If only Daniel were here, Sterling'd tell me I'd picked a great husband. Chase never called again. Later I learned Hunter had created a few business headaches for the Hawthorne Group. Freshly back, Chase had taken over the company and was no match for Hunter. Sterling got jerked around until the firm was in chaos and his father landed in the hospital. After my month of confinement, I moved home, planning 2 more months of rest before returning to work. Hunter agreed and had already hired a night nurse and a daytime nanny. Sterling also reshaped his schedule for the next year, carving out half of each day for our daughter. His only request, a wedding ceremony to make up for the rushed paperwork. I understood Sterling wanted to announce our marriage to the world, and to make Chase face reality. I had no reason to refuse. My single condition, keep it simple. Done, whatever you say. With time so tight, I bought a ready-made gown from a top designer. The day it arrived, I popped into Bella to try it on. Sienna somehow sniffed out where I was and stormed the shop. She barged in spitting. "Zoe, have you no shame? Married and still throwing yourself at Chase, does your husband deserve that?" 3 years had remade her. The shy college girl was gone. In her place stood a sharp, glamorous woman. Angry and spiteful, face twisted like a bitter ex-wife. Sienna's cursing drew a crowd of curious shoppers into Bella. Everyone pointed at me in my wedding gown, already convinced her rage was proof I'd stolen her man. The store manager rushed over and shielded me. "Miss, you need to leave now." Sienna ignored her, eyes wide and fixed on me like a vengeful ghost. "Chase is mine. You'll never take him from me." The moment the words left her mouth, she lunged, clawing at my gown in a frenzy. Chaos erupted. Hunter arrived just in time and immediately called the police. The farce finally ended once officers stepped in. We followed them to the precinct and gave our statements. There we met Sienna's mother. She dropped to her knees, begging me to forgive her daughter. "She didn't mean to cause trouble, Mrs. Sterling. She's sick, really sick." She produced a therapist's report claiming Sienna had clinical depression. Hunter muttered that if you fake an illness long enough, karma eventually cashes the check. As we left the station, we bumped into Chase, apparently summoned by Sienna's mother. Sterling looked frantic, and I assumed it was for Sienna. Instead, Sterling stumbled straight toward me, panic all over his face. "Zoe, are you hurt?" I froze, staring at him coldly. Hunter pulled me behind him, but Chase's guilty, worried gaze still reached me. "I'm sorry, Zoe. I never thought she'd go this crazy. I honestly believed she had clinical depression back then. I didn't want her to fall apart because of me, so I agreed to take her abroad for treatment." Sterling was still making excuses, still shoveling every ounce of blame onto Sienna. Seeing him so selfish, so heartless, was almost pitiful. Chase asked to speak to me alone. Hunter eyed him like a guard dog and refused outright. "If you bother my wife again, the Hawthorne Empire won't like what happens next." Hunter's clout in the market dwarfs the Hawthorns, so Chase had to weigh every word. Still, Sterling stared at me, pleading. "Zoe, just for old time's sake, after everything I did when you were at your lowest. 5 minutes, please." Back then Chase had thrown me a lifeline when I was drowning. Even though I'd repaid every dime I owed the Hawthorns, with interest, some debts feel like dull knives lodged in the ribs. The slightest touch still hurts. You never really pull them out. So I agreed, warning him, "This is the last time." Hunter didn't argue, though his jaw was tight. Sterling waited a few steps away, eyes locked on Chase, a loyal hound ready to lunge. I kept my gaze on Hunter, never looking at the man in front of me. I only heard his trembling whisper, "Zoe, don't call me that, it turns my stomach." I frowned. "Say what you came to say, my patience is thin." Chase swallowed, stung. "Can we start over? I finally see how stupid I was. Give me one more chance. I'll trade everything I own if you come back. I don't care that you've married. Your daughter will be my daughter. I want all of you, exactly as you are. Zoe, please, one more shot. For the love we once had, okay?" Sterling reached for my hand. "I'll love you right this time, I swear." I stepped back, avoiding his touch, and finally looked at him, disgust plain on my face. Sterling froze, pain flooding his eyes. "Haven't I already given you chances?" I asked. The first was in the school infirmary. I'd slipped out to the restroom that night and spotted Sienna pinning him against the wall, kissing him hard enough to split his lip. Sterling claimed Sterling'd bumped into someone. I believed him. The second was when Sterling let her read his palm, fingers laced with hers while she cooed over fate lines. The third was when Sterling let her wave the flag of clinical depression and monopolize his life. Which of those moments wasn't me offering him an out? Still not enough. My voice was flat, emotion burned away. Maybe the calm scared him, the last spark in his eyes snuffed out. Sterling said nothing more. Maybe Chase finally surrendered. Or maybe the Hawthorne Company's cash flow crisis had him running in circles. Either way, Sterling vanished from our lives. When our daughter turned 6 months old, Hunter and I threw the dream wedding we'd postponed. That morning an anonymous box arrived, a priceless jewelry suite tucked inside velvet. A note lay beneath the diamonds, *happy wedding, may the rest of your life be joy. The handwriting was Chase's. Hunter guessed as much and sniffed. Jewelry? As if I can't buy you oceans of it. The jealousy in his voice was adorable. I abandoned the box to kiss him better. Later we vowed forever in front of friends and family. Hunter was so moved his eyes brimmed red when Sterling kissed me, a happy puppy who'd finally fetched the impossible stick. I didn't know Chase had slipped into the chapel. Sterling stood at the back, watching us promise, kiss, and seal our future. Sterling watched me place that jewelry on the charity auction block, donating every carat. Only then did it hit him. I had walked out of the nightmare long ago and chosen happiness with my own 2 hands. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you enjoyed it, like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.